I was told there was going to be a blue wave. Basically, that in the midterm elections, we're going to see a ton of Democrats take the House, the Senate, yada, yada, yada. But why is the news saying something to the contrary? The Guardian has this op-ed from about a week ago. Democrats are losing the millennial vote and need to change message. Okay, what's this about? Young Americans are open and non-religious, but cool about gun control. The Democrats have to speak to their needs. Okay. This photo right here, it's got a caption that says, Millennials' dislike of the Republicans should not be interpreted as a like of Democrats. Clinton supporters watch the 2016 election results in New York. That's the photo. Okay. Got a lot to go through here. Let's start. Ever since their shock defeat in November 2016, Democrats have sought comfort in the age-old proverb that our kids are our future. After Hillary Clinton decisively won the youth vote, with 55% of millennials voting for her, while Donald Trump could not muster more than 1/3. Wow. So what does that mean does that mean the future is looking rosy? In the past few months, the liberal media has seen hope in America's youth. A poll found that only a minority, 33% of young Americans, approve of the way Trump is handling his job, while the majority believe that the president is mentally unfit, generally dishonest, racist. In line of these findings, Vox triumphantly headlined, "The kids are not all right with Donald Trump." Similarly, Pew Research Center, a study of the generational gap in American politics, was met with hopeful coverage. It found, among other things, that millennials have by far the most negative views of Trump. Okay, I get all that. We get it. Millennials don't like Trump. But where's the point? Let's see. It may take liberals by surprise to hear that recent Reuters Ipsos megapoll of 16,000 respondents, okay, that's a huge poll. That's like 10 times bigger than they normally do for a poll, found that the Democrats are losing ground with millennials. Millennials still prefer the Democratic Party over Republicans. That support is tanking. In just 2 years, it dropped sharply from 55 to 46%. Meanwhile, the support for Republicans has remained roughly stable in the past 2 years, falling from 28 to 27%. It says the trend is not universal. White millennials, the drop in Democratic support among white millennials is roughly the same, but most of the defectors in that group seem to have moved to the Republicans, 6%. Okay, so among white millennials, 6% have joined the Republican Party. Today, as many white millennials support the Democrats and Republicans, each 39%. Just 2 years ago, Democrats still had a 14% lead over Republicans among white millennials. The trends are even more pronounced among white male millennials. I wonder why. Today, this group favors the Republicans over the Democrats by a staggering 11%. In 2016, Democrats led white male millennials by 12%. Okay, we got a lot going on here. So first, let me say this. The Democratic Party has pretty much embraced identity politics. And the identity politic left, the regressive left, whatever you want to call it, the social justice activists, are very mean to white men. I think attacking someone or making assumptions about them based on the color of their skin or their gender, things like that, probably not a good idea. So when you repeatedly see, Twitter with the anti-white male stuff, you see Vox, you see all these stories talking about white people. I think it was Now This News just put out a thing about like white people will always be okay. Yeah, you're going to see white people be like, yeah, nah, not cool. And so that's why it's not surprising we're seeing white millennials moving to the Republican Party, but a staggering 11% white males have gone to the Republican Party, or actually, what is it? White males favor Republicans over Democrats by a staggering 11%. In 2016, Democrats led white male millennials by 12%. It's a 23% flip. What have you been doing, left, you've driven away one of the largest demographics in the country? The United States is about 62% white, and men make up about half of that. So if we're talking voting age, that might be closer to like 25% of the country being white men. And you're losing them. You can sit there all day and night and talk about how you don't like white men are privileged, about how white men ruin fan bases and video games, or whatever your politics say. But the reality is, you're burning a massive market share. I'm not surprised Donald Trump won. when you have these people saying, what are my options? And this is interesting because it reflects kind of what I've talked about on my main channel and both channels, talking about how there's no platform for the left to stand on anymore. This is what I mean. In my opinion, the reason we're seeing this, I could be wrong, I'm not an expert per se, but why is it that young millennials are leaving the Democrats for Republicans? Because the Democrats have gone too far. They've gone too crazy. And so you have a decent amount of people saying, where do I go? I go to Republicans. Not all of them. Some of them go crazier. Some of them go third party. Some of them don't go anywhere else. But I don't want to read through this whole story. This is what I wanted to get to, the meat, showing this massive flip. White males are leaving the Democratic Party. And they've got a lot of anti-white male, rhetoric and talking points. So it's not surprising. And I'm not here to argue about privilege or social justice, just simply the fact that whatever your stance may be, left or right, when you rag on someone, criticize someone, or challenge someone, you will probably piss them off and they'll walk away. So let's move on to, actually, they do link this story from 2 months ago even. Democrats lose ground with millennials. This is an exclusive from April 30th. And the reason I have this one in here, this is used as a source in the Guardian post, but the reason I bring it up is because why do they think they're facing a blue wave? If the Guardian has an op-ed with numerous sources saying the Democrats are losing ground to millennials, if we have a story from 2 months ago, the Democrats are losing ground to millennials, what makes the Democrats think they're going to do well in the midterm? But now, we have what I think is a great example from Twitter, our good friend Glenn Greenwald, among another existential comics page, about why I think the left is in for trouble. First, let's talk about DSA. I tweeted, I really don't see middle America embracing these kinds of positions. Abolish borders? These photos are going to end up in non-stop campaign hit pieces. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about this photo here from the DSA, where you've got abolish profit, abolish prisons, no borders, abolish cash bail. Okay, first of all, abolishing prisons? What? Every country has prisons, even Sweden has prisons. How about reform prisons? I think reform prisons is exactly what we need to do. See, this is an extreme position. I'm a liberal, and my stance is prisons should be better. Prisons should function to rehabilitate. We have too many people in prisons, and private prisons are a big problem for a lot of different reasons that I'm not going to get into right now necessarily. But what we need are prison systems that encourage reform, that teach people how to function better in society, give them opportunity, educate. We don't have that. We have, in terms of maximum security prisons, we have people who go into prison, join a gang, and learn how to be a better criminal, or actually, it's got a lot of problems. But abolishing prisons is extreme. Abolishing profit? Whoa. What? Profit is when you do work, and then you get money on top that you can keep, okay? So what is profit? I don't know what they mean. But let's say I build a birdhouse. I spend $10 on wood. I then sell that birdhouse for $15. I have a $10 cost and a $5 profit. I pay taxes on that profit, and then I keep what's left. And that is how society functions. You want to abolish profit. What does that mean? Like, you can only ever work at cost? You'll never have money to use how you see fit? I'm really confused. Maybe I'm just wrong. Maybe someone from the DSA wants to comment and explain to me what that means. Abolish borders? You've lost me entirely. I mean, well, you lost me on all of it. I don't think mainstream Democrats are going to push this rhetoric. That's not what my tweet was meant to be. I think what's actually going to happen is the right is going to use these photos to show that young leftists, activists, the people who oppose Trump want to get rid of your borders. If there are no borders, there's no country. And a lot of these people do believe that. It's so frustrating when I have people on Twitter saying, Tim, no one's really calling for for no borders. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Yes, they are. I've been on the ground at these protests for years. I've known these people. Yes, they think you should be able to go wherever you want in the world. It's not just the left. Anarcho-capitalists believe the same thing. They think there should be borders. And within the big L Libertarian Party, they don't like borders either. I think it's a debate going on within them, within the party. But yes, they literally think anyone from Mexico should be able to come into the United States. Okay, obligatory, I'm not an economist, I'm not an expert. I just want to give you my opinion on why I think borders are important. For one, there are a lot of nasty people in the world who want to do horrible things. So in some countries, when women are raped, they go to prison. I'm not making that up. In Qatar, in the Emirates, there have been stories of women who have been raped, reported to the police, and the police say that's extramarital sex and you go to prison, right? The world is not perfect. And borders are basically just a big expansive system we have to say there are certain things we don't want coming in here. Dangerous people, drug traffickers, smugglers, arms dealers, criminals, rapists, kidnappers, etc. We also need to make sure that we have a flow of immigration that works for the country because resources are finite. You can't just take people in and assume there's going to be stable enough streets and bridges and food and jobs. So we don't want to strain everybody. We don't want to destroy a system. We want to make sure everyone can be lifted up. Legal immigration, it works. However, another complaint I have with the idea of no borders is that you know who really loves illegal immigration? Massive corporations. Because they can get people to work for pennies on the dollar, pay them under the table, and then boot them out of the country with the help of ICE at the end of the month. If there are no borders, what's to stop U.S. corporations from simply shutting down their operations, setting up in Mexico, charging, paying people nothing, and just, there you go. Borders allow us to enforce things. You want to have a business here? Okay, you got to play by the rules. You get rid of those borders, there are no rules. What are we going to have? Globalist police force going around and making sure there's no profit? I see this as a massive problem. Anyway, long story short, I think we're going to see this photo. We're going to see these protests, these chants popping up in in campaign hit pieces, and a lot of people are highlighting Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I made a video when she won saying I think it could backfire, and the reason I do is because she's gotten a very tiny fraction of voters to get her into office. Crowley screwed up. It's his fault. But it's not reflective of the larger population. At least I should say we don't have the evidence to suggest it is. It possibly could be. But let's take a look at another tweet I made. Out of a district of about 700,000 people, 27,000 voted, and just about half voted for Cortez. Hillary won in the wrong places. She got the popular vote. She didn't win the Electoral College. She needed to campaign in different areas, didn't do a good job of it. In which case, Trump wins. You need to bring Republican voters back, not retreat further away from them. Hillary lost because swing states went for Trump. If you decide to go left, you are not going to get those swing states back, okay? The issue is that in swing states, you have a group of people, and it's like pushing left and right. Where's it going to go? And something happened to where the left was wrong, so people moved right. Okay, if the people are going this way, and you're like, hey, everybody, let's go this way, you're not going to get those people back. And here's what I was referring to. Existential Comics said, Ocasio 2018 runs on a leftist platform, unseats a long-established congressman, instantly becomes one of the most talked about politicians in the country. Established Democrats who recently lost all three branches of government. This is a bad strategy. We need more of the same. Well, no, they're not saying that. Established Dems, some of them are embracing the rhetoric. Some of them are saying we need to rethink our strategy because we lost so much. But this is advocating people go further left, embrace Ocasio-Cortez's platform. Listen, Trump didn't win because the left wasn't left enough. Trump won because Hillary Clinton was a bad candidate, period. People didn't like her. They liked Bernie, okay? And not even enough people, apparently, to get him the nomination, or, the DNC cheated. But Hillary Clinton didn't campaign to the people who moved to the right, okay? Understand? So now if you have people, everyone's going there, and you're saying, I'm going to go over there, you're not going to get them back. You're not going to win. I think this is ridiculous logic. They followed up by saying, remember, whenever Democrats talk about how centrist policies give them a better chance at winning, there's a 99% chance the real reason is that they just want centrist policies, and their corporate donors are sure as well want centrist policies. They don't care about strategy. To me, this is delusional. Seriously. It's like you've lost people because they moved to the right. You needed to get those swing states. And your response is, maybe we should move further away from them. Yes, Mr. Glenn Greenwald took those tweets and said, these two tweets contain a vast amount of crucial truth. And whatever your view on all this, one has to acknowledge that it's just bizarre watching a party that has collapsed as a national political force insist that it must keep doing things the same way or else failure will ensure. Straw man argument. I think the Dems, I agree, they're collapsing. It's terrifying. They've fallen apart horribly, and personally, I blame it's their rallying around Hillary Clinton. They don't really have any charismatic leaders. It's a huge problem. But this idea that you can embrace the fringe and move towards the, like, okay, come on. They're basically saying that people, they're implying the Democrats need to look at Ocasio-Cortez's campaign and embrace that. Well, Ocasio-Cortez is a Democratic Socialist of America, and they're literally posting tweets saying, no profits, no borders. If that's true, if they're correct, that no borders is the way to go, that we should embrace democratic socialism, no borders basically means no United States. And I'm not being hyperbolic. If you don't have borders, you can't enforce jurisdiction. You can't control who comes in and who works where. And then you just basically evaporate all security. I guess people don't realize the massive amount of managerial power it takes to run a system like the United States. So if we are really looking at half the country wanting democratic socialism, where they're advocating no borders, or Republicans who are kind of conservative, moderate, then I feel like you have a choice between a country and no country. And then I gotta say, people are gonna look to the Republicans and be like, yeah, I'm going there. Anyway, we've been going on for a minute on this one. I got another video coming up. I think I've got one more video for today. Should be up in about 15 or so more minutes. If you were watching this at 6, it'll be up at like 6:30, so stick around.